What's up, guys, and welcome back to the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, I'm with Paul Newman of Statesboro Real Estate in PMG. He's an absolute monster in the game, and within the 19 years that he's been in this local market, he's risen to the top. Paul Newman, how are you doing today?
Excellent, man. Welcome. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be on your podcast. I feel like we do a podcast all the time together in our own minds.
That's right. Actually, this is something that kind of like birthed this, right? So, we always have these really great conversations around business and, just everything that has to do with entrepreneurship, so forth and so on. And it's just been a great ride. And thank you so much for encouraging me. So, Paul, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So lived down there about 6 or 7 years. So I grew up with the Dolphins and the Hurricanes. So sports are a big part of me. So I brought them. Then we moved up to Atlanta kind of in the late 80s. So picked up the Atlanta Braves.
Nice.
And grew up on the south side of Atlanta in Jonesboro and Eagles Landing area. So kind of actually went to 2 different schools in high school. So I have, a very diverse set of friends that I've kept along the way. And it's just kind of been a neat ride to kind of meet a bunch of different people. And then so my dad got a job transfer, and or actually my mom started teaching school, and so when she started teaching school, I was able to go to a different school, which introduced me kind of really my first steps to get a whole new perspective on just people doing different things. Like I was introduced to people with bigger houses and real estate and stuff that was really kind of like, wow, like what do these guys do? And that kind of was probably one of my first triggers to go, man, real estate and kind of thinking about the bigger things in life and the big picture and really just...
This is in high school.
In high school, and it's just the group of friends that I was introduced to, they just were doing different things, and it was like, wow, this is a different perspective than I had ever seen before. So that kind of got me, and I've always kind of had this business entrepreneur spirit in me. I mean, even I was on the school bus selling Airheads and Pentec pencils, and there wasn't a thing that I wouldn't try to buy. And I mean, I bought a box of Airheads for $7 and would sell. By the time I got done, I would sell the whole box for $21. So
that's right.
$14 worth of profit, and I just was in the zone with that.
Do you remember like the first thing that you sold? If you can kind of like recall.
It'd probably be like blow pops or the Pentec. We used to play pencil pop in school.
Okay.
So, I mean,
what is pencil pop?
So for just you would hold the pencil out, and I mean you got a lick, and then I got a lick until the pencil busted. So
got you. And these are wooden pencils.
Wooden pencils.
Okay.
And so
you were selling these
pencils would last longer.
Okay.
So if you had the Pentecs, then you could kind of last and then pop them.
So you remember identifying that, hey, everybody, supply and demand, right? Like, everybody's into this game.
That's right.
Pentec, I guess, is the premier item that you want to have.
Yes.
And you said, hey, there's an opportunity for me to kind of like execute. So how did that go down with the parents? Were the parents like, hey, why are you getting all these Pentec pencils?
Yeah, I'm not sure they knew at the time, but it was probably just on the Airhead. Or on the bus, I was selling stuff out of the bus, so the parents probably didn't get involved in the sales. We're keeping them out of the sales.
That's right. That's right. What other things did you sell during that time, like growing up?
Yeah, so I bought a CD burner, and I think the computers had them too. But at one point, I had bought a CD burner, and I remember. I would buy the new one, which I guess I'm telling on myself a little bit. But
that's right. That's okay.
But I would buy the new CD, and I would sell them for $5 a pop. Hey, I got the new Outcast. Gemini just came out, and so I'd sell 7 or 8 copies of that. But hopefully Outcast don't be mad at me.
Hey.
But it was short lived. It was a couple-year period, and but that I just always, my dad always said, it's funny. He always said. I always knew you would make money. I just wanted it to be legal.
That's right.
And
that's
so
right.
Maybe I started out a little bit illegal, but I found my way straight and
Very
kept
nice.
it straight.
Very nice. Yeah. So this is like towards like throughout high school, you were kind of like hustling. There was always kind of like this cash flow. You understood kind of like the underlying structure of business.
That's right.
And then you came to Georgia Southern.
That's right.
And that's when you came to Statesboro, right? And then tell me about kind of like what direction were you going in? Did you kind of like have an idea at that moment in time what you were going to do?
So I played high school baseball, which that kind of goes back to my competitive side. So I'm really super duper competitive. I mean, I like to win at anything that I play at.
I know.
And so whether it's ping pong, basketball, whatever, but that kind of baseball and sports kind of led me to be the competitive person that I am. But so having said that, I decided to kind of go to Georgia Southern over some long thinking. It was like, what was funny, one of the stories, I was like, it was Georgia Southern's known to be a party school.
That's right.
At least when I was there, and it's kind of stepped up its way. It's still got a little party in it.
That's
and
right.
A little school, but
That's right.
Anyhow, so I made the decision to come down here, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Like Georgia Southern has been so good to me in terms of education and the networking side is, I mean, one of the biggest, college goes all over the board with what people think about it, but the networking side of college is one of the most important things I think people don't think.
So how did that kind of like competitiveness help you decide what industry that you wanted to be in?
So when I was a business major, College of Business, which is now the Parker College of Business, and I knew I had a business mind. I just didn't know what exactly it was going to be. So I started going to school. I started doing a lot of intramural sports, which kept my competitive drive going. Also got a leasing agent job with Campus Club, which is the largest apartment complex in Georgia Southern.
What made you do that? Like, why did you decide to go to Campus Club to kind of like, I guess, start off your career? Was that your first job?
No, it was not my first job. My first job was bagging groceries.
Okay.
So that was 15 years old working at Kroger.
Customer service, I like it. This
Service.
was back home in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I think I've only had 4 jobs. Let's see. I
Okay.
was bagging groceries.
Okay.
Second job was fun putt batting cage. So I actually would hit on the job a little bit.
Okay.
And, that was Go-Kart Place.
Okay.
That was in Riverdale. Shout out
Okay.
to Riverdale, Georgia.
Very nice.
And then I worked at GNC. So that kind of was got me wanting to be, eat healthy.
Was that in Statesboro?
That was not in Statesboro. That was in
Back home.
McDonough and Eagles Landing.
Okay.
And so that was a good job. And then the leasing agent job, I guess, was job number 4.
Okay.
At Campus Club. And I think that was just kind of stumbled to by chance. We were living there at the brand new place and kind of thought it'd be neat to get out in front of the company when they started hiring. And we met the right person. And I just hit my stride as a leasing agent. So that was really neat to kind of learn the property management business, even before I knew eventually one day I would get into the property management
Got you. So
business.
at that moment in time, real estate hadn't been decided as like the career move at that point.
That's right.
It was mainly kind of trying to understand, just make some money, right? That's what it was.
That's it. I mean,
Okay.
and it, one thing that was crazy is my senior year of college, they were giving out bonuses, $500 bonuses for whoever had the most leases. Of course, me being my competitive self, 9 times out of 10, I'd have the most leases out of all the leasing agents. So I was getting $500 bonuses at a time, and they were, cash bonuses. I go out to my buddies at the
Nice.
pool and be like, "What's up?" So that was really cool. But I think my senior year of college, I made $20,000 as a leasing agent in college,
Understood.
and going to school. So
Sure.
that was a really neat thing to kind of have made that much as being a student too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty neat.
For you, were there any aspects of the job that were challenging, like as a leasing agent, or did you kind of like just fall into
paperwork?
it?
So like paperwork is still like not something I'm absolutely crazy with, but I have good help around me.
Sure.
Shay's my office manager now, keeps me super duper straight.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to go out, make the connection, get them to the table, and but
Seal
that was
the
probably
deal.
the weakness. That was the weakness of not making sure I buttoned up the paperwork.
Sure. That competitive nature has served you well. Obviously, again,
Yes.
you are a monster in this local market.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really kind of wild to see kind of like your success. What do you think kind of like, got us there? So what parts of, who you are made you successful within the real estate industry?
I think early on, I caught the marketing was in, that was part of my major in school. And so I learned that at Georgia Southern and kind of just knew that marketing was always a big deal. And when I first came on, I was just a kid, but I realized really early on that videos and kind of putting yourself out there was a big deal. So I would do crazy ads. I mean, the James Bond ad and
Nice.
just, master of real estate ad, just goofy ads. But it was, have you seen that dumb ad that he did? But they're talking about you. That's
Attention.
And so that's always been a big deal. But, I was doing YouTube videos when it first, when YouTube just kind of got going. Because I got in real estate in 2006. So
Sure.
I was finding a way to kind of edit them and do the videos. I remember one of the first videos I did, I had a customer told me, "Hey, we watched your video 15 times." And this is like in 2008.
Which video was that?
It was like a house on,
Okay.
with 50 acres, and it was a super nice property, but they ended up buying it, but they had told me, "Oh yeah, we watched that video over and over again to help them
make that
kind of make the
decision.
decision.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Were you shooting these videos by yourself, just like on the
Yeah,
iPhone?
had the
or
old, no, heck no. Yeah, I think iPhone wasn't around till what? I guess when was iPhone? Is that 2009, 10?
About that time,
So
yeah.
no, this was the old Sony 3.2 megapixel,
Nice.
switch it to video kind of
Okay.
deal.
So
Yeah.
you were going around with that, kind of like
Yeah,
stitching
going
the
around with that
videos.
and then putting it into some kind of video editing software. And,
That's cool.
you know, putting name and number on it and stuff.
Very nice.
Not the quality videos you produce today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it takes time, right?
It
The
does.
technology has definitely improved since
Yes.
then.
So I had two other little side hustles that I would say in college. So
Okay.
These are kind of triggering all my jobs. But
Sure.
I had a buddy named TR, and we had a business called P&T Trash Service.
Okay.
So what we do, we found the students were so lazy that they wouldn't take their trash from the apartment complex. If they were 2, 3, 4 stories up, they were too lazy to take their trash down to the dumpster.
Okay.
So what we would do is we'd put out flyers saying basically put your trash out on whatever day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we would take your trash down to the dumpster from you. How lazy, but people paid it. And
How much will you
so-
make if
so
like,
this was like this thing got shut down pretty quick because the apartment complexes said that we couldn't do it. So
did the apartment complex themselves start doing it?
It could have,
Hey!
could have. But so I can't remember what it was, but I do remember we had 10, 12, 15 accounts.
Uh-huh.
So we started
That's
working on
awesome.
that residual a little bit.
That's right. And so that got shut down. And how did they do that? Did they just come to you and say, "Hey, you guys can't do this"?
Yeah, but I think they saw the flyer and said, "Is this P&T Trash Service?" Yes. We're gonna need you to shut down. So yeah, that was that.
You mentioned another thing that you were doing during that time period.
Mobile car wash.
Okay.
So the mobile car wash, that was the easy thing. We were using somebody else's water, and we would take their car and go wash it and bring it back to them cleaned up. So that was, for 30 minutes worth of work, and you charge them $30. That's good money. Split $15 a piece. Get
That's
you a couple
right.
beers at the happy hour bar and all that stuff.
Always got the hustle. I like it. How have all these things eventually shaped your business? Like, I time and time again, you're telling me stories about, how you identify a need in the market and
Right.
you make it happen. Right now you have two different companies in Statesboro. You have Statesboro Real Estate as well as PMG.
That's right.
What were the needs that these two companies served for this area?
Well, real estate's always been around. There's been a bunch of different companies do it in different ways, and I tried to do a lot of research before I made the decision to leave. I was with Coldwell Banker for 10 years, and we can kind of get in the whole process with that. Great company, great person to learn from, and Jack Connor was the broker there, and he did a great job with me and showed me the ropes, and spent a decade of my life there. And I just realized that I wanted to kind of do it on my own, and so left for an independent brand and decided I could kind of brand myself. That I really didn't necessarily need a franchise brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought kind of making it really local would be a really neat play.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and but the rental company, kind of sprung out of nowhere. Stephanie Anderson and I owned the rental company together, and we kind of were getting asked to kind of help out around the office because they were short-staffed, and before you know it, there was a lot of ideas in there that they weren't doing. There was no website. There wasn't a website. There was a couple of things in there that we just realized, hey, we could do this thing, but I don't want to give away all my ideas until I kind of have maybe a chance to be an owner in it. So
Understood.
got a chance to, I'll never forget, we were in, my wife and I were on our honeymoon, and, they were kind of asking me to do things, but not necessarily, paying all the way. They're like, hey, go, stay here at the beach house or just do a couple of things.
Giving
It
you
wasn't
perks?
little perks, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a structured, like this is what you're going to
Sure.
get paid. And I can't remember whether it was $1,500 or $2,000, somewhere in there. And I said, I told my wife, I'm gonna go ahead and try to ask for a monthly salary when we get back. And came back and asked for it, and they gave it to me. I was like, man, that's awesome. So that was kind of my first step into going, okay, this could be actually a career in property management as well. And a lot of people didn't want to do it. So many people pick up the rental calls and they never wanted to take them because
Why?
Because real estate agents, they make their money when they sell. They don't really necessarily make money when they rent.
Mm.
So I just found value in that. A lot of people did not want to mess with the rentals. So
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie and I had worked, really hard on that and got a chance to kind of buy into the company, and ultimately got a chance to buy into, the whole company and have 50, her and I are 50-50. So
Very nice.
but that was a really big jump for us and gave us a really awesome base to get into the property management. It's served us really well. So when we greet the customers and anybody that calls, we can help them in multiple ways, whether we're renting to the customer and maybe they eventually buy, or they, investors reach out to us and say, hey, sell me something, and then we can rent it to them. So it's been really nice.
So I see a lot of kind of like back and forth between the two companies. So I have a good understanding of what PMG does. PMG is basically the rental side of the business.
That's right.
What is Statesboro Real Estate?
So Statesboro Real Estate focuses primarily on buying, selling, commercial, just anything real estate related in terms of transactions and that nature.
So between the two companies, it's kind of like a one-stop shop, right? You don't have to go to somebody for
That's right.
For the rental side. You can either purchase a property and then immediately, hey, we also have PMG, which will handle the rental side of things.
Yeah, what was awesome is that we can get you, any way we can service you. So if a new person comes in or you live in Statesboro, it's nice to be able, hey, we can, we have professional houses, we have college houses, or if you're ready to buy, we're able to help you that way too. So it's really nice to be able to go back and forth between the two, because people got to live somewhere.
That's
right.
right.
You hear that all the time, but they do. I mean, somebody's got to either rent or you got to buy. You got two choices.
So talk to me more about kind of like, the real estate thing. Right now, you've kind of like, are absolutely dominating the game. What is the next step for kind of like Statesboro Real Estate, PMG as a whole? Like, where do you think the market is moving towards?
I think we've been so busy here that we're trying to just service. This year PMG finished at 100%. We were really nervous, and the coronavirus came. We're like, March it came. We were really worried that we were going to have problems renting all of our owners' units, and great staff at PMG, and everybody just started renting, and we got it all done. So it was kind of a crazy year, but we ended up being 100% in early July, which we were kind of just like, wow, we couldn't believe that we got to the number just because of the interruption that we thought was coming. Yeah. And so with real estate, inventory is so low right now. It's just stupid low. And so
what do you mean by inventory?
Just nothing to choose from. So if a customer calls and says, hey, Paul, we're looking for $180,000 to $200,000 house, there's nothing to choose from.
Nothing.
I mean, you drive around neighborhoods right now, you don't see for sale signs, and I think.
Why do you think that's the case? I mean,
So I heard a stat the other day I try to listen to podcasts and I do try to keep myself educated in the field. That's important to me to keep learning. But I was listening the other day, and it was I think it was a Clark Howard podcast, and they said 1 out of 5 people move every single year. For the last 50 years, that has been the trend. 1 in 5 people will move. Now, he said over the last year or two, it's 1 in 10. So that is going to mean less and I'll break that down why I think that is.
Sure.
Less transaction. Well, first of all, back in the day, I think the husband used to make all the money. And so if the husband got a job transfer, then the family unit would move.
That's
right.
Now
I think the field, and rightfully so, I think women definitely deserve their pay, if not more than men. They keep us straight, and a lot of times could be, shout out to the women out there.
That's right.
But now they are starting to make, more and more and kind of level out. So just because the husband or wife gets a job somewhere else, they're kind of stuck in concrete a little bit. That's kind of what I found. That's kind of the way we broke it down, because, you could just go when the husband got the big time job. Well, now the wife's like, well, I still have a good job, so they're kind of like they're stuck.
So was this trend already existing before, this past,
it was before the corona. We went into our market with low inventory before the corona.
And it's even less now.
It's even less, and I think the interest rates are so low that I think customers are like, well, I like my house. I've got low interest rates, so why do I need to move? I have 3% interest rates. So I think that real estate agents as a whole, there's a lot of people getting in right now, which was good. It's an exciting career. It's one of the best careers I could ever hope for myself. But it is going to be challenging with the amount of houses in inventory for sale, because the realtor ultimately needs to sell something to make a commission.
That's right. For you, so you're talking about residential right now. That's the main piece that you.
The residential, yeah, because gotcha. I mean the commercial projects, they do come. Statesboro is not just a thriving commercial market, but we do have some projects in the work. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff that maybe we can talk about at a future future podcast. I think are coming to Statesboro. One, which everybody knows about, the Publix, and I think that's just I got my fingers crossed they're still on board. Publix, of course. Let's do this thing.
Make it happen.
I think it's great for great for all the people that live in Statesboro, and just a top-notch grocery store would kind of put us over the top.
Why is real estate
your go-to method
Yeah.
of investment?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, to me, there's no better investment. I mean, I give a lot of different examples, but where can you put a little bit of money down? 20% usually is the norm. But if it's your very, you know, a little tip I'll throw out there. If it's your very first property and you say, I want to get into this investment world, well, buy a house that is a lower $100,000 house yourself and move out of it. You know, that way you don't have to put down 20%. You can get away with 5%, or even in some cases the 100% no money down. That can become your first investment property. So that's, you know, to me, that can kind of get you started.
So walk me through that. So you purchased the property.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you are living there for a period of time.
That's right.
And then what?
You could even have roommates. You know, a lot of people do this thing
Yes.
where they have their roommates pay your rent. So, you know, one of the first houses I bought, my father bought when I was in school. I had 2 roommates, which pretty much covered the mortgage. So
Very nice.
you know, my rent was $100, and my dad was paying down the principal. Well, you know, I ended up buying that house from him, and Lori and I lived in that house together as a married couple.
Understood.
And so then we moved out and would, you know, and keep that as a rental. We didn't sell it.
Got
So,
you. So once you moved out
Yeah.
into the next stage, then you still have that property to still rent out. Is
That's
that
right.
the strategy?
Yeah,
So
that's
you do
right.
that multiple times.
Multiple times, and you can own up to 10 finance properties in your name that are fixed. You know, commercial rates, you can get more once you start establishing good banking ties. That's a good tip for a lot of investors out there. Make sure you kind of get with bankers and start establishing trust and put your money in local banks so you can gain more leverage.
That's right. That's right. So you mentioned 10 properties. So 10 properties you can have at fixed. What does that mean?
Okay, so fixed rate. So really, the rates that are I love 15 years. To me, you know, you're not going to cash flow. So there's different investor models. So you're not going to cash flow as good, but you know, you buy at a young age and you fast forward 15 years, you may be 40, 45 years old with paid off properties. So fixed 15-year rates is my, if I could give you a perfect goal, that would be that 3%, 3.5%, and your numbers. You know, I bought a house. One of my first properties I bought was $100,000. Interest rate's like 3.3. It's on a 15-year note. I think the payments are $800 a month, and I received $1,600 a month. So that one is great cash flow, and it's on a 15-year note.
Sure.
So you know, I think that the more you can get fixed and shorter terms, the better. I mean, of course, you know, 30 years is going to let you cash flow like crazy, but you're just not paying down that principal.
Understood. So let me ask you this, you know, as an investor, you know, you put the money in and you're using the rent to pay down the mortgage for this 15 years of time.
Okay.
How is that property supposed to, is that supposed to produce the cash flow for you to kind of like live off of that? Or is that just an investment for 15 years down the line?
So for me personally, it's all about the future. So my mind
Understood.
always goes to the future. I don't need the right now money because I, you know, do well in my career and have a lot of different means of income. But so, you know, you could do a longer term, which does let you cash flow. It just depends on your situation. If you need the extra money, then maybe you do go for a 30-year and say, let this cash flow.
Understood.
So it just kind of depends on how you're doing in your
Strategy.
career. If you're kicking butt in your career, it doesn't matter what you are, whether you know, doctor or teacher, and you've got the ends to make it meet, then maybe you go more aggressive and go, I don't need the money now, I want it later.
Understood.
And so that's just it's a preference in strategy. I really believe in just paying it down as quick as you can. And I think it's going to serve me well.
Very nice. Let's change kind of like directions. I think that, you know, we obviously, you know, touched on the investment side of things. Talk to me about kind of like the health of, you know, the local market in Statesboro.
Okay.
So you mentioned, you know, that the inventory currently is at an all-time, I guess, low. Have you ever seen it at this low before?
Never. And I mean, this is year 15 for me.
Okay.
You know, since the end of 05, and it's just as low as all of us have seen it. When we put a property up right now, it's just it sells. It sells very quickly. So we're raising prices more
Steadily.
and more. I mean, I'm saying, look, I think it'll sell for this, but let's go here. So we're constantly right now seeing some very good appreciation in our market. There's no choice but to. I mean, so if you have a house that's ready to sell and you're ready to go somewhere, it can be sold right now.
Got you. What other like market indicators do you look at for kind of like the health of the
number
market?
of properties on the market it's a big thing that we see, and so normally, you know, on average maybe 400 to 500 plus in our Statesboro market. I mean, golly, I think we're down to low threes, upper twos, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those are under contract. So, who knows? I mean, we may only have, between 200, 250 properties to choose from.
But people are actually outside of the community moving to Statesboro.
It blows my mind. We get calls all the time from people all over. Right now, we're seeing California buyers come because
Wow.
California is on lockdown. We're seeing New York. We have an appeal. We're a college town. Quality of life is awesome, but the cost of living is low. That's what I was trying to get. I think we're number 6 on some list that they came out with. So, just on your average day to day, even your property taxes are lower than other places in the state of Georgia.
So if you were to sell kind of like Statesboro to somebody that had never heard of it before,
Yeah.
what are the reasons of moving to this community?
I mean, just raising a family. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the quality of life is just an A+. It's just, great ball fields for your children to play at, great schools, a college, golly, going to the basketball games and football games and baseball games. There's always something to do. I mean, a lot of towns don't have a major college that puts on a really good product with good football, good basketball. I mean, that's some really good entertainment. And your children rally behind the team, create memories, and it's just I always thought I'd go back to Atlanta. I
Really?
just thought that I'd go back to Atlanta. I was going to wear a suit and tie, and I was going to sit in traffic just like my dad did. And I'm just thankful that my life didn't play out like that. I mean, that was it's just been a blessing. I met my wife my senior year of school, and we dated for 8 or 9 years before getting married, and now we have 3 children. And it's just been an amazing ride to kind of grow up here in this community when I thought that I was going to go back and be an Atlanta boy. Now Now the country accent. I'm a Statesboro boy.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So anything else you would like to kind of like tell the audience?
For me, I've always enjoyed just the field that I'm in because I meet new people every day. It's always something different. I enjoy helping people. My quality of life is just extremely high. My work commute is 2 minutes, as opposed to that Atlanta 45 minutes hour commute. I live right by my work. I'm thankful for my family. I'm super thankful for my wife and my children that they're healthy. I feel very blessed. So I just try to stay in a blessed state and try to give back in any way I can.
That's right.
And I'm thankful for God. I mean, that's
Amen
big
to
shout
that.
big shout out to Him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, Paul, thank you so much for spending some time with us on the
Yeah, for
podcast. Obviously, you're super passionate about kind of like the things that you do. What's the best way to get in contact with kind of like your businesses? If anybody's looking for real estate out there,
Right.
what's the best way to get in contact with you?
I would just say, obviously cell phone and email address, but Instagram and Facebook, we're on, Statesboro Real Estate's on Instagram, and Statesboro Real Estate is on Facebook, and those are our 2 primary, modes.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you
man,
so much.
I'm super thankful that you had me on, and boy.
That's right. That's the show.